Hey
Well,
everyone, Nikki here, and welcome to the Riff Yard. I'm joined for the second time, which is amazing and mind-blowing in many different ways. 40 months on from our first chat, Mr. Scott Stevens of the Exies. How you doing, man?
Nikki Smash, how are you, man? Good to see you again. Glad,
Uh,
glad to be here. Like it's been a year.
yeah, I know. And what a crazy 12, 14 months you've had, my friend.
Yeah, it's I never thought that I'd be here. But that's life, right? It takes us on these journeys and unbeknownst to where we're going and us where we're going, what we're doing, it starts to reveal itself and here we are, man. You and me talking again, what, a year and 2 months later.
I know, it's amazing. Did you think, right, when you started 2023, that into 2024 you'd have two songs, some other cool, mysterious things that I don't know if we can talk about, and a reunion show?
No. Simple as answer, no. I mean, I knew I was going to put out that song in 2022 at the very end of that year, like around literally around December. Um, I knew that Spirits High, which was written, yeah, I guess 20 beginning of 2020, well, like around March. So that one was done first, and I knew that I was going to put it out, but I didn't want to tell anybody. And I started to make some inquiries with my management company. Yeah, how do I release a song, and da da da. I'm very just like underselling it and just and one of the guys at the management company said, "What are you doing?" And I said, "Well, I've got this Exies track. Sounds like the Exies anyway, and wrote it 3 years ago, and I think it would be cool to put it out for the anniversary of Inertia, which would be 20 years old." And all of a sudden, the next thing I know, I'm on the phone call with Allison Shepard, who's the head of marketing at Indigoot, and they're like, "You're not just putting that thing out there. Wait a minute, put on the brakes. Let's talk about whatever this is because it's been so long." And so they helped me, find a versus just putting it out on like TuneCore or something myself. We did it through 1 RPM, and we kept it very low key. There was, a lyric video, really no hype at all, other than like Instagram stuff that I was doing, which I think went over to Facebook and some Twitter stuff. And that was it. And then the song came out, and within a month, it had 95,000 streams. It blew my head off. I couldn't believe it. And, I just was like, it made me go, wait, what's happening here? Why is this happening now after I've decided to quit music for myself all these years ago? And as the year went on, I started looking back at the pile of songs that I was creating during that time, much like probably a lot of people, you're stuck at home. What can you do? So I just started creating, and more songs started to sound kind of like the Exies because I really wasn't writing for Hailstorm or Nothing More or Highly Suspect or any of these bands that I work with. And it just all of a sudden there was a group of them, and they all kind of felt like they picked up where I left off, and I started to hone them. And like I said, I think life experience has changed me a little bit as a writer and the narrative and how to get from point A to point B and get across what my feeling is, which is the most important thing to me when I'm writing, is how does it feel. And then if I can marry a really good lyric with it, I will, and I'll be lucky. It's because I don't even know if that's really up to me. I think we just follow the sounds, right? If you watch Let It Be, you can see the Beatles do the same thing. They just kind of it morphs into the words that become, but they're starting with their melodies, and
Mm.
unless you have a great title or something, then that helps spur it as well. And they just started to come together, and then I remember, For What It's Worth, being the next one that was kind of done, and it felt right. And we released it a couple of weeks ago, and it's We just released a video yesterday of the, from, I think it's from video footage from 2002 to 2010. And that was all a idea by Chad Nicefield, who used to be in a band called Wilson. I love that band. They have this great song called Dump Truck that I wrote and produced with them. But when he heard the song, he called me, and I'll never forget this. He said, I was on my bike and I almost crashed my bike. And I said, why? And he said, because that lyric made me cry while I was riding my bike. So I had to pull over so that I wouldn't crash. And I was like, but it's an up tempo number. He was like, it doesn't matter. There's something going on there. And it just sounds very reflective, and like, there should be like home movies to it or something, and he says, do you have any footage of the Exies like back in the day? And I said, probably, I don't know. We used to have this Canon Allura little handheld camcorder from like 2001, 2002 or whatever. And I asked my wife, and I said, do you know where that Canon Allura is with, and all those little mini DV cassettes? And she's like, yeah, it's over there, and I went and pulled it out of the closet, and I plugged in the battery pack, and the battery was dead, and I charged it for a little while, put it in the machine, and was like, okay, here we go. And it didn't work. And then I saw there was another battery in it. It was a thick one, like 2 inches thick. And I plugged that in, and it was dead. And that had to charge, as memory serves, it had to charge for like 3 or 4 hours. And it was already kind of late. So when I got up in the morning, I unplugged it from the wall. I'd been charging all night, plugged it into the camera, bing, came the little bell, and the thing worked. And I opened the little hatch, the screen, you could see what you were filming, right? And I hit play, and it was us on a bus going to Little Rock, Arkansas. That was the first, because it was still in there, and it was me talking to the camera. My mind was blown instantly. It was like, there I am talking to me after probably like 17, 18 years. And I ran upstairs, and I was like, Flavia, this is crazy. This thing is working, and there's a tape in it, and we're on a tour bus, that was the first real tour bus that was nice. In the video, you see a white one. We call that Moby Dick. It was a piece of shit. It really was. Styx owned it. The band Styx. And it didn't have any heat, and it didn't have any AC. It was just a clunker, but we were glad to be in it. But this video started with this blue bus that we called the Blue Bullet, and it was a brand new bus. And I felt like we had arrived, we'd made it. Yeah. We were in luxury now. And I started going through other cassettes that were just in this bag. And there was all these live things: Buzzfest Houston, Edgefest Dallas, Motley Crue Tour, Velvet Revolver, Spring Break MTV. Like, I was looking at it all, and I called Chad. I said, you remember what you asked me if I had like da-da-da-da? Well, this is what I found. And he was like, oh my God. And he did this research and found this little thing that would convert the AV, analog into digitize it into your computer. A day later on Amazon, of course, we ordered it. It came. I started downloading stuff. It took me about 8 days, 9 days. We got about 28 hours worth of footage. 28 hours. Jesus. If we just barely scratched the surface with this video, like, we could make 12 of those things, and so there was, we knew at this time that the song was going to be released because it was time for something new. And we were kind of in a mad rush. And I sent, through Dropbox, I sent everything to Chad, and he just started going through it every night. This, and labeling Motley Crue, this, da-da-da, headlining this, blah, blah, blah. And then he gave it to this guy named Ray Rivard. And that guy was a genius. With virtually no direction from me, he just started. And, when we got the first cut back, my wife who produced this thing, she had some great ideas. She's the one that came up with me clicking the button off at the end, which I did in this room right here. I filmed myself with the same camera so that it came full circle, right? It starts with me pushing the thing and it ends with 20 years later. So we just started. I think we made three mix revisions. I mean, three edit revisions on it, and it's what you see. And I thought it had, it makes you want to watch it again because it goes by pretty fast.
Yeah, the cuts are
But
fast. Yeah,
the cuts are fast,
that's
and
a
I
good
kind of
thing
was
though.
like, maybe that's a good thing. Maybe that's, whatever. But I think it's proving to be a good thing because people are watching it multiple times. And I posted this morning that you watch this and slow it down if you can, because a lot of, you might see yourself in this, because this is just random shows all over the country. And, it really, it pulls on the heartstrings. It really does. I did a thing with Loudwire yesterday, and just before I got on with Chuck, I had tears in my eyes watching it, and even though I'd seen it so many times, it just became real now that it was out there in the world,
Mm.
and I got emotional. And these sunglasses that I have, I put on because I wasn't going to wear them, but I was, being a crybaby, and and I was like, this is too much. So, we talked about it, but it's an incredible ride that I think we're about ready to take here. I'm not sure where this road is leading us, but things are happening. Radio stations are starting to add the song now, and there's other people asking us to want to play shows. So we got to get through this Viper Room show, which is May 29th, in Hollywood. And then we'll see where we're going to go from there. What's next?
Oh man, I I mean, when you put the clip up on the gram, about, I think it was like what, a week, 10 days ago, and I was like, "No, you're crying," like in the
Yeah, yeah,
comments,
you said that. That's right.
and I was straight away, I was like, I know exactly where he's going with this,
Yeah.
and it was like that when I watched it yesterday evening, just before Loudwire thing. Yeah, and it's funny, um, like we said just before we, hopped on recording the air, it has this perfect balance of something so new with something so nostalgic, and it's so hard to find a balance that you can appease both sides of the coin with.
Yeah, I
I,
think
I
so.
don't I don't know exactly the magic that's happened in it, but you do feel it. I mean, I definitely feel it when I watch it, because it's like it took me back from, when I first discovered you guys in around, I think it was like 2003, 2004,
Hmm.
when I discovered you, and it was like, someone had just hit the rewind button on your
Yeah,
life, and it's like you're right back there, and it was like, whoa,
yeah.
and I know we spoke about it on the blower a couple of weeks ago with the Russian show that you did in that like mega, like enormodome,
Yeah,
like in front.
it was Olympijski Stadium.
That's bloody mental, mate.
It was crazy. I think it was like around. Well, I've heard it was like 60,000 people, but I think it was closer to maybe like 47,000 or something like that. Who knows? Still, I mean, whatever. it was, it was a. It, I couldn't even see the end of the people. It was, where are we and what are we doing? And there's like this. There's this woman's face like Medusa with spider legs and crawling across the stage, and then there's like an Exies logo that's literally like 15 feet tall and all made out of metal. I kept on thinking, like, where's this thing gonna go when we leave this show today? I mean, this
Yeah.
is
Do you know
this
where
is
it
made
went?
of metal. It probably went into like the some kind of melting boiler and was made into weapons or something. Who knows?
Yeah, yeah, fucking probably, yeah.
Shit, I
Um,
don't.
yeah, it's amazing, like to like as you said, like you've now got like God, like over a day's worth of footage and stuff. Are you going to stick any of it up? Are you going to? Because obviously you must have some like live gigs and stuff on there, right?
From what?
From the little camcorder that you had, that you got all the footage from.
Right. Oh,
Are you gonna are you gonna stick it up on YouTube like
you
these
mean like, am I
songs?
going to take full performances or something, or full songs from these clips?
Yeah, or just like backstage, you guys fucking around on the Blue Bullet or anything.
Yeah, I mean, there is a lot of it, that could probably, even these segues when you're watching the video, if you didn't change the shot and you let it roll for 30 seconds, you'd see a lot, right? So,
Mm.
I mean, there's a shot of Freddie right in the beginning. I think it's within the first couple. No, 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 Freddie. We're on the bus, and actually, Nikki Sixx and Tommy Lee that's who we're talking to, and I don't I mean, I know Tommy, and I could text him, but it felt like would we run the risk of any kind of like legal thing having them in there? Let's just cut them out. And so
I know what you
to
mean.
see,
Yeah, yeah.
and because we just had no time, um
It's not worth
there
the risk for something,
yeah,
is
there
it?
were Scott Weiland moments, there were Slash moments, there were all these times that we were, around and touring with everybody. And I can't we can't post that stuff, but it's there. Maybe one day, if I uh if I see Slash again and go, can I put up some stuff with you? I don't know. Or Tommy wouldn't care. I don't know if Nikki would care. But just to keep it moving along, we cut it out. But yeah, look, the truth about it too is that most of that footage and stuff, I mean, it's being recorded with that little camera. It sounds like ass. It's just all blown out. You can't hear nothing.
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
know?
Of course.
So it'd be better just to put something over it. Uh, if you wanted to hear Splinter, you just take Splinter and you try to cut it as best as you can, to the song, but you wouldn't want to hear it's just blown out.
Yeah.
Because everything was shot so right there on the stage.
Right. Okay.
Probably there are some from like some of the like Spring Break and things like that, there where the cameras were out. It sounds pretty decent, that we could probably release that stuff down the line. And I think keeping this nostalgia train kind of going is paramount at this point, because there's so much that nobody has seen. Even when you watch this and you think, okay, that was the Exies and da da da. Yes and no. There's more footage. There's shenanigans, punk parties where we're like last day of tour with Breaking Benjamin, and we're riding around like horses that are the sticks with just the horse head, and
Yeah.
we're spraying whipped cream in their face, and like shenanigans, and us just getting punked, and um shit of us falling off the stage, and things like that. It's we like every that band that tours for a decade,
Yeah.
there's just tons of that kind of stuff. But this was just a quick, whittle it down in 3 minutes and 35-40 seconds, whatever this song is, to kind of show, because look, it's been so long. There's a huge rock audience out there that has no idea who we are, and what we've done. But this is the foray into starting that now, and kind of
Yeah.
reacquainting, because let's face it, Nikki, like active rock has not changed that much in 20 years.
No.
It hasn't changed that much. There's a lot of new bands, and that's great, but you still got Creed and Breaking Benjamin and Theory of a Dead Man and Shinedown and Five Finger Death Punch, and all these bands are still playing. So, and Godsmack and Buck Cherry and Papa Roach and Hinder, and like it's all still out there.
Yeah.
So and we are a part of this new kind of resurgence. Like I was talking to Kevin from Trust Company the other day, like they're
Great
out
band.
playing shows again, but love that band, toured with them for a long time, and hopefully we get to do some shows together. But the thing that I want more than anything, and now that we're talking, I want to play in England. I want to know how to get over there. That's what I want.
Mm.
That's what I think that we would. I think we would probably have the time of our lives if we could get the right shows and to play with the right bands.
I know a
Uh,
great tour manager.
there you go. You'll sit
Yeah,
in. You'll
dude.
if any of us get sick and can't play the guitar, then you'll just step in and play.
Yeah, I'll sit behind a curtain. You can just
No,
prop up.
no.
Oh, dude, it
Um,
will happen. It feels like it is. You know, I know it sounds a bit kind of ethereal, but it definitely feels like there's something bigger happening than the sum of its parts almost. Do you know what I mean?
I hope so. I don't know what the reality of us getting over there is. I would say everybody that hears this interview, you're based in England, like everything we can do to try to get there. Um, that's a bucket list thing for me. I really want to experience it. I mean, I've been to London quite a few times, and we have friends there. And it's like, of course, now that I'm so tight with Matt from Dinosaur Pileup, and he and I've got a few songs that I've co-produced with him
Excellent.
in this new record, and three songs I've written with him. And I'll just love him as a human being. He's so good at what he does.
Mm.
And I joked with him and said, let me just come over and open for you. Like, let's get some good shows and just get enough money to cover our expenses. And we don't need to make money. We just need to have I don't want to be out of money,
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
we can cover the cost and let's go have a life experience, right? So, we'll see.
That's a great band to do it with, man.
I
You
would
know?
love it, man. I mean, we're definitely a little bit more post grungy than them, but they have a little more punk than us. But I think it would be great, and they would
Yeah,
help us get introduced to the English crowd and whatnot. Yeah, because we have a little bit of that America as the we're So Records is a part of this song, and as Adam Greenup says, you guys just have that North American rock sound, like
mm.
full on riff rock. And I said, well, if you say so, I mean that's just what we do. So great. I'm glad that you feel that, and I would love to be able to play over there. So who
Oh,
knows?
dude, you know, fuck. I mean, I could be wrong. I don't think I am, but it definitely feels like there's something pointing towards it. You know, when we've had, like when we were on the phone a couple of weeks ago and stuff like that, and talking about other things and whatnot. It feels like it, right? You know, if you get that vibe.
Yeah,
I mean, I've been around it long enough, and obviously you certainly have, where you kind of get a hunch. I suppose that's probably the best way to describe something
yeah.
of that caliber. It feel that there's something, you know, I'm searching for the correct vocabulary, but
It's
it's
like a
something.
gut instinct.
Yeah.
So it feels like a gut instinct. It feels like something's happening that hasn't happened yet.
Mm.
That we're kind of building towards it, and this show is helping to unleash that a little bit. Um, yeah, it feels like something's afloat. Like I said, a couple of radio stations just added the song, and they're big ones too. So what does
Sick.
that mean? And I don't know what it means yet. I just know that the buzz of it is starting to kind of bubble, and all we want to do is bring what we were and what we're doing right now. Like I posted quite a few times, the past is rooted into the future, right?
Mm. Yeah.
And it's like it needs to be this new nostalgia thing. I'm never going to run away from what we were, and I don't care if somebody's like those guys are old, and this is an old band. Well, yeah, I mean everybody gets older. We're
Yeah.
20 years we've been doing this,
Yeah.
so
The thing with that
whatever.
though is like, you know, there's some artists that age and you go, that's fucking old, right? Or you can
Yeah,
have bands like King's X, right? And you
yeah,
go, Doug Pinnick's like fucking 74 or something, and he
yeah.
still smokes 90% of 20-year-olds.
Right, right.
right?
Sure.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't think I don't well
I don't know.
you don't look old, Scott, right? You don't look old, okay? And you certainly don't
I'm
fucking
not.
sound old, dude. You're
I'm
not
20.
old. That's the thing, right?
No,
You're
we're
like a
not.
good 31.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's it. It literally is. It just is. Yeah. I mean, what people are going to think what they think. Use your ears, decide if you like it.
That's it.
If you don't, then so what? It's fine. It's not going to stop me from creating and doing what I'm doing. And um,
I think that's the point though, right? That's the point. It this doesn't seem like some sort of like movie script where it's like everything's pinning on this exact moment, and if the stars don't fucking align, everything's fucked.
yeah, yeah,
It's not that. It's like that's what I mean. Like there's something bigger happening, you know, because
yes,
it doesn't matter about if people think you're old or some crap like that. It's this fucking the Exies train has been fired up again.
yeah. It's fucking weird.
And it's kicking along, man, and the momentum. I mean, how many people, even new bands or artists that haven't been on such a hiatus, how many people do you know who can come back with a song like Spirits High and have the impact for that long? Like it was circulating on radio for the best part of a year, dude.
I
And
know.
then you've got another one that has just been loaded onto bigger stuff. And then there's the reunion show. Like these aren't stuff, like you said, it's not being rushed. It's not someone going like, yeah, let's just fucking get this out, let's fucking capitalize on something or other. This is it's momentum building, and there's longevity in it. It feels, I don't know, it's like, I don't know, maybe there's some sort of like, again, like some ethereal, some sort of spiritual thing in here. Not that I want to go down the road of
No,
that type of stuff,
let's go
but
down the road, man. I'm
you
ready.
know
Let's go down. Let's
yeah.
go to ethereal land.
But it,
I'm
like I
in.
said, it feels that, I don't know. I don't want to say like paying your dues, because that's you, because you paid your dues fucking 10 times over back in the day. But I
Yeah.
don't know if there's this hiatus thing has kind of been like a pressure cooker of like, not yet, guys, not yet, not yet, not yet. And then there's this 16-year gap of like not nothing, but but like you said, all of you who've been doing stuff behind the scenes. It's not like you guys have been out trying to like go into the, you know, I don't know, a building business or selling houses or something. You've all been kept in the industry in one way or another.
One way or another. But yeah, and not seeing each other and not, we talk every now and then. And yeah, I, here's what I think. I think that the thing that seems the most different from the time that the band started to the gap and what's happening now is when we were gigging in LA, which we got signed out of the Viper Room, which is why we're starting there with a show, because it's a small room, 250 people, and it's packed. But it's where it all happened for us. So when you're gigging and you're writing and you're rehearsing and you're eating top ramen and crackers, and that's you're going for it, and your jeans smell because you don't do the laundry, and you're really living rock and roll, and you're doing, not saying that rock and roll has to be dirty, but it kind of is, so it's
Yeah,
like
the
you're
great
just
underdog.
on the fringe, right? You're on the fringe, man, and
Mm.
it's like it's all do or die. And then when a label comes in, you start to make, you start to make concessions. You start to kind of go, okay, well, we'll do the compromises. That's the right word. Like, we'll do this and we'll do that, and we have to do this, and now who are we going to meet? And then, and now you start to fall into the game, right? And now you see that there's this whole publicity and thing that you have to do. You have to do interviews, and who speaks in the band, and who doesn't speak, and who, what you know, you got to get up and you got to play at 7 o'clock in the morning. I don't have a voice. It doesn't matter. Go do it, you know, and these kinds of things. This is so different now because there's none of that. And there is strictly me creating from an honest place, like writing in a diary. These songs all had a diary type of vibe. And it was just you know, asking myself questions that are important to me, like where am I, have I done enough in my life, am I using my time wisely, you know, how do I, you know, everybody wants to get together for this social distancing party, how do I tell everybody that I just want to be by myself, you know, these introspective kind of searching my feelings for how I truly feel about things. And because time has gone on, I'm more mature now and I know how to say it differently, or more, maybe more relatable in some ways. I don't know. You know, there's not that I'm not discrediting anything that I did in the past, but I feel a little bit sharper now as far as what I want to say and how I want to say it. And if that relates to people, great. But it's ultimately me, I think, trying to understand what's going me, you know, I'm trying to understand like what's happening up here in my brain, and how I'm, you know, affected by the people that I love and my friends, and the maybe the people that I've done wrong, or the people that have done wrong, you know, by me. And like it's all kind of coming in to focus now. And these songs, which there's more music coming, you know, they all are reflective of this kind of emotion. And i I don't have any other way. I don't know how to change it. I don't know how to augment it. So I'm just doing it and I'm putting it out. And that's basically it. Uh, you know, that's what's happening. And that's maybe what's so different, is that I'm not trying to, you know, appease this certain person. The things that are coming to us are happening very organically and very unbeknownst to any kind of what's the word, like a planning of sorts, you know, or like it's just happening, you know. And I guess that's the best way because it's a little more pure that way. It's
Yeah.
maybe more pure that way. I like when I wrote Ugly, this was the same kind of scenario, very introspective and kind of down on myself and da 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 da, and it manifested itself in that way. When I'm sure when David brought in My Goddess, you know, he had his demons that he was struggling with. Goddess was just a metaphor for something else,
Mm.
you know. And he showed me that song, and we worked on it when we were, I think, in Reno, you know, after we got stuck in Reno, and we were working on that song together. And then we got back to LA, we set up a recording session and we played it, and there was the document, you know, and that really started it all. But, you know, we were writing from real honest places. And I think that that's what's happening now for whatever reason. And I can't explain it either. I don't know what it is. Why now? After I said goodbye, put the dirt on the coffin, threw a rose on it, and let it go down into the ground. Goodbye, Exies. That this is happening to me and to us. I fucking don't know. Never give up, I guess, or never say never, as cliche as that is. I don't know.
Yeah, I think you said something which I think perfectly sums up. I think it's the purity of it. Like I said, it's you, for all intents and purposes, you know, because of the 20-year anniversary of Inertia, you happen to have a bunch of songs.
Yeah,
You pick this one, put it out,
yeah,
and I know it's like the rest is history shit, but there is something, there is poetry in there from it. You know, it was just instantly, he was like, hey, this is for you, this is for the you know, this song is for the fans, and it's my diary piece, it's just honest, you know, heart on the sleeve, you know, take it or leave it, there it is.
there it is.
don't
Yeah,
don't don't worry if two people listen to it or 100,000 in a month, and then 14 months later, you know, we've got a second song and music video, more songs now that you're telling, and a reunion show. Like, and then like there's even conversations with Matt from Dinosaur Polyp about like maybe doing some UK tour. Like
Well, I mean, that's, I don't know.
even
I mean,
16 years ago, would you have? Do you think you could have even been in that position? You know, because like when we did this pod chat, like I think it must have been like 14 months ago now. It just
yeah,
seems
yeah. You were the
mad.
first one too. You hit me in like February, like the week
That's
after
it.
the release.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
Yeah,
And I, you know, and I watched it back again just so I can be as fresh as I can with other things that we'd potentially talk about.
yeah,
And like you said, with that stuff, it just kind of, like you said, it ran its course. It just happened the way it did, and the climate of the world was a very bizarre place then as well, I think, and that contributed to a lot of, not just yourselves, a lot of bands. I think it hit a lot of good bands in the UK as well with that type of stuff. You know, but then, like you said, you just kind of in a non-aggressive, in, you know, there's no hatred towards anyone or anything. You just went, okay, well, that chapter of my life is over, and I bought the book on Pro Tools, and hopefully I can get fucking sick at this and hopefully make a career of it still. And of course you have, you know. And then,
I
like you said,
tried.
there's
I
this,
tried.
oh, dude, fucking try, bloody God, you know. And
Hey man, you're only as good as your last song. I'm always just like,
I do. Well, you
and
got fucking plenty of the bastards knocking around now, haven't you? So you know you can tell, well, which one of these million songs that I've been putting
yeah,
out around the world for other artists. You know, again, like look at that, like the purity of it. I think that's what I think I'll be kind of tagging on from this. It is the purity. It's not trying to be anything it's not, like you said. It,
yeah.
you know,
That's it right there, isn't it? Because I don't know how to make it anything other than that. Like I said, if I'd been writing for myself all the way up until now, I'm sure it would be vastly different.
mm.
And bands do go through changes, right? I mean, Shinedown doesn't sound the way that they did on the first record, you know, and it's a natural evolution for them because they never stopped. Um,
That's the same with yours, though. If you look at if you solely look at Exies records, not one
yeah.
of them, the production, the writing, the guitar tones, the way you attack lyrics, the way you deliver vocals, not one of them are the same.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I'm glad that you see that. I mean, you know how it is when you're creating. It's always just you. So I just hear me. And,
Mm.
you know, I do hear the recordings being different. Some things I like better than others. Um, there's certain songs where I'm like, man, that vocal just doesn't sound good, and I don't even know if it's me singing that doesn't sound good or if it's just the way that it was recorded. But these are things you just have to make peace with, and you move on, and you do, you know,
They're
and
timestamps, though, aren't they? I think
yeah,
that's
they're not.
what I think that's what a lot of younger artists fail to see, and that's something that
Yeah,
only time can give you, really, I suppose. But they are like massive diary entries. They're timestamps. They're certificates of where you were at, in life at that
right.
time. Which is
Yeah,
why
and
when you
hope
listen to stuff, your brain goes, "Boing!"
oh,
Do you remember that?
yeah, yeah. There's something about that that's crazy addictive with nostalgia, and where it boom rockets you back into time. Um, you know, it's you. A lot of the new bands, they just need time, and then they'll have these same conversations that you and I are having. You know,
Mm.
gotta get some time under your belt, you know, and you got to experience the world, and you know, things will start to come into focus of what's important, and you know, it just I love when something unexpected happens. It doesn't always have to be music; it can be anything. But in this case, this is all unexpected. Um, and I'm just going to try to do the best I can to nurture it and uh, and be true to it and and share in this hopefully connection, this new connection. Because as I was, like I said, I was talking to Chris Daughtry right before we got on,
Mm.
and he watched the video and he called me and he said that video is amazing, man. He goes, I don't think I realized all the things you guys had done. And he goes, and it's just, it really sends you back. And he goes, and I knew your band, but there's something going on with this thing. And I just said, thanks, man. And then we talked about it. He was like, I bet you if you got the chance to tour again, you would do a lot of things differently. And I said, oh yeah.
Yeah.
If we did tour again, it would be very different. And it would, I've learned a lot, and we had to go through those doors in order to get here, and so,
Yeah.
we're about ready to open one. So, well, we have opened it already. It's already open. So we'll see. Hopefully the door to England opens.
Yeah, so do I, man.
Knock, knock, knock. Hey, England. Who's there? Scott who wants to go to England.
Come in, sir. Is what should happening. Oh, dude, it's got. I don't know, man. Like I said, it feels to me like it's definitely on the cards, and I, referring back to someone like Matt, there couldn't be a better, artist of that.
Don't hold him to it. We just made a joke to each
Oh
other.
yeah, of course. Don't worry. I
Yeah,
won't be
yeah,
like
but I would
chasing
love
like.
it. If it had to be anybody, I would do it with him. I mean, it would be insane. I would love it, because we're so close, he and I now. He put out a thing on Instagram. I don't know if you saw it, of like what he's been doing the last 3 years. There's like 3 pictures of him and I in there.
Yeah.
While he's
Yeah.
going through this whole thing, that poor guy, man, boy, is he a fighter.
Oh
'Cause
yeah.
look at him now, dude. Like, and the songs are great, and it's just like, man, you deserve everything that you're gonna get, because you went through hell and you're still fighting. I'm rooting for him big time.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely, man. I think. I think he's one of the good guys.
He is. We
With
cut
with
we
a lot
cut a
of
lot of those guitar parts and those vocals right here in this room.
That's fucking great, mate.
It was amazing. He sat right here, and I sat here, and we're just going, and we had the best time. And we had this. These were some of the guitars that we used. These are the ones that are on the record. Hold on. These two puppies.
Oh fuck. Oh, dude, nice.
This is like a Kurt Cobain exact replica Mustang, same hardware, everything, humbucker, and this is a '66 Jag that's just freaking gnarly and just amazing sounding. I mean, when you play these, it just sounds like the '90s. You can't help
Yeah.
but
That's fucking great.
Yeah. So
The 90s were great, man.
they were great, and the tones. Literally, you put that thing in and just DI, and it sounds like Nirvana, and you're just like, there it is, man. There's that
There it
sound.
is. There's the source.
Or
Yeah.
let's just put a super fuzz on it. Let's do this, and all of a sudden, it's still, it'll go into the Pumpkins or something. Like, it's crazy. Like, and I got a few of them. But he loved that blue Mustang. We used it on a lot of stuff. It really sounds amazing. So it was fun. Good.
Well, if I'd love to talk about some geekery then with you for a
Sure.
minute or two, if you got it, dude. So how did you go? Was it a very similar process with for what it's worth as with Spirit Side? Did you cut them around the same time?
No, not completely. There were two songs that I was working on before that came before Spirits High, and then Spirits High came, and it showed itself to be developing quicker, a little bit faster of a horse in the race. And I would periodically work on it. I mean, it would sit. I remember I would put it in my phone, in here, and it would just be weeks and weeks before I would even listen to where I was with it, and that might have just been a verse, and it just took its time. And that's because I was working all the time too, and so I was working on these other two songs and then this one, and I think probably maybe like 4 or 5 months after Spirits High, like, was starting to become something. which was around, like March, April. So yeah, maybe by September, I started to, I was upstairs watching TV and I grabbed my acoustic and I played that opening guitar part for what it's worth. And I was like, what is that? And I kept on playing it and then within a few, minutes, I started to hum the melody. It wasn't really perfect yet, but it kind of steered me. And then I remember just kind of blocking the world out for about 30 minutes. And I had the melody and how it needed to go, but I didn't really have all the words, but I was saying for what it's worth. And I wrote that down in my phone and then I started to get busy on it. I think the next morning I listened back and I was like, okay, that sounds pretty good. And then I started it. So it came, probably somewhere around 4 months afterwards. And then uh, I rushed to kind of finish it because I was excited by it. I don't know. It's something
Yeah.
about the way the verse, when I came up with that verse melody, I literally was in doubt of it, going, is that current enough? Not that it has to be current because this is all like based off of nostalgia anyway, but it just something about it was like, is that right? And after I laid it down, I was like, that's it, man. I mean, for better or for worse, that's it. And I'm just going to stick with it, and I remember the hardest thing for me was getting the riff to be right, which is not super intricate or anything. It just was hard. And and then getting all the drums to be right too. Um, the arrangement of things, did it want a really heavy middle part? At one time I had this heavy middle part in it. And when I'd listen back, it just sounded like it was trying to do
Mm,
that. It
right.
wasn't like natural. So I cut it out and I put a bridge in. And that was the last part I wrote was that bridge. And I actually think that those are probably the best lyrics in the song because it kind of really nails it down to what it is, um, and then that cool down, boom into the last chorus was just the musical little piece that I needed to get us to the end.
Oh
Um,
man.
you know, so
Did you play drums on this one as well? Like you did the previous one?
yeah, yeah. The guys
Okay.
are playing on some of this stuff. These are early. There's nobody around. It's COVID, so
No, I think it's cool, man. I think I think there's the purity of it, right? It's like when you first pick up an instrument and you go
yeah,
like, for me it was like, okay, now I know some chords. How can I make my own chords, right? And you do it by yourself, right? And then you
right.
have a little microphone you can record it to tape, and then you like tap on your legs or something to get like some sort of thing going. You know, I think the fact that you've kind of done, very much like how the early dinosaur records are, it's all Matt, isn't it? It plays everything, and like and foos and stuff, right? There is a magic to that when it gets pulled off, and obviously these songs have you doing all of it, but the the songs are just so, like you said, going to be coining it now. It's so pure and so kind of like honest
Right.
and raw that it just captures all of the right stuff from the
Yeah,
drums, from the bass, from the guitars, and the vocals and the lyrics. Like it is like it's all coming together so nicely, and it is like it is really organic, right?
it
Again,
is.
you're not going like, I mean, I'm sure you call up so and so like, yo, could you just fucking lay some drums down in this thing and have it sent back to me by this
Sure,
afternoon?
sure, sure, sure.
You've gone, hang on a minute, yeah, I could do that, I'm gonna fucking do it. It's gonna
Yeah,
be,
it's
it's
yeah,
all
it's
gonna be out of, you know,
yeah, absolutely, and it's all kind of happening organically and together, so that I I don't want to stop the process either because it's like it happens in these spurts, and it's like okay, I get the beat and I start to play it, and the bass is there. You play and you start to hear the idea coming to fruition versus just maybe a phone recording or something, and then giving everybody else's interpretation of what maybe needs to happen with the instrumentation. I'm just kind of it's all hitting me, and some things I spirits high, all those ethereal guitar parts and things. I don't really know what I'm doing until, I'm on the rig and I'm starting to play, mess around, and it doesn't just magically happen. It takes time to figure out what the part needs to be, but this was no different as far as that goes. And so it's just like when you're a kid and you're like sitting on the floor in a room and you're talking to yourself and playing with your toys. You're like, you're creating some like world in your brain. Kids do it still to this day. You watch them, they're talking to themselves and they're maybe, whatever they're playing with, and it's like, that's what this is kind of like. It's just like, well, there's nothing to do. I can't really go anywhere unless I'm going outside with a mask, and I really don't want to do that because I can't breathe.
Yeah.
So basically, you sit around and you start to become. I started to become a kid again, and kind of like with an imagination, and that's how everything started to be born. Was out of this pureness of like, here I am, 10 years old in my room playing with like this, and like space guy, or whatever it might
Mm.
be. So the
Yeah.
same principle is happening here. But I'm taking life now and trying to feel it, and I'm just trying to understand it. I'm just trying to understand it best I can.
Well, yeah. Do you need to understand it? I don't know. Like, I suppose, but that's kind of the hunt, the thrill of the chase, isn't it? With that, you know, it's
I,
just a magical thing to watch, man. From someone who we got to know each other not well over the past year, and that's been a wonderful, wonderful thing. And also
yes.
just to see you come back and like I echoed on the first time we, excuse me, on this thing, and we spoke about it, is that it's so wonderful to see you get this wonderful resurgence, and there's so much love and outpouring for it, and it's just fucking awesome to see, right?
No, thank you
And
so
it's
much.
it like you said,
Thank you.
I always say it's so inspiring when the good people start to get some wins, you know because it feels like a lot of the time that's not the case, especially in this industry, you know. So when you see people like yourselves and like and Matt, and Dino, kind of doing it, you kind of go, yeah, this is great. It's inspiring, and all this culmination of exciting stuff. Like Jesus
Yeah.
Christ, man! Like a reunion show. That's like I'm gutted that I live like 4,000 miles away.
I wish you could be there,
Oh
man.
fuck,
This
dude! I
is
wish I
this is
could too.
why this is why again we need to
It's
try to
my
figure out
daughter's
a way.
birthday, so I can't fucking do
Oh
it.
well, yeah.
But
Look, if I had the money, I would pay for you to come. But look, this is
thank
the
you.
thing. We got to figure out a way for me to be able to come to you, and
Mm,
that's what I'm putting out into the world, and to you know, and it'll happen or it won't. And I'm gonna try and do everything I can. I've brought it up a few times, and everybody's just there's crickets. It's just not a thing right now. So but perhaps it will be. And we're early days. I mean, it's April, and there's a lot being talked about for 2025, which is crazy to me because that's a what? It's not even a quarter of the year is over. We're talking about next year. So
that's amazing.
but
But
everything is
it's deserved. It's deserved,
well.
dude. It's totally deserved. So what what could people expect from the reunion show?
Well, we haven't played a show since that Russia show, and that was with Chris Isaac Carpenter, who's in AWOL Nation, played drums. Freddie, who's in Everclear now. You know, we will be the original lineup, minus, of course, David, who passed away.
Yeah.
Rest in peace. And
Hmm.
um, Chris Skane was on A Modern Way of Living with the Truth. And he was also the very first guitar player for the band before David, but he was in another group and they got a deal before we did. So he exited and did that. Dennis Wolf is playing drums, who was on Goddess, Ugly, all that stuff. And Freddie is playing bass. So You know, it's the four of us. It probably won't be perfect. How could it be? There's no warm up gigs, you know. So, but we're just gonna freaking put our heads down and we're gonna rock. And you know, we've got a lot of the heavy stuff. I've been taking note of like what's, you know, what streams, what people, you know, what are the favorite songs, you know, and making a list. Some of that comes into it, and some of it's just what we want to do, you know, and you know, we're gonna blaze it, man, for an hour. So
Oof. Okay, cool, nice. Are you gonna
yeah.
record any of it?
I don't think we can. There's a lot of legalities with the Viper Room. We can't film it. We wanted, I
Oh,
mean, unless it's an
really?
iPhone, and we can't record anything. I don't know. I guess things have changed since when we got signed there in 2002.
Right.
So, you
Please,
know,
please, can someone fucking who's going? Please, someone do it on their phone. But you know,
oh, there'll be people that'll do it on their phone. How good will that sound?
oh man, phones are pretty sick nowadays for that shit.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
you know,
Maybe.
but
Yeah, yeah. A lot better than the camera that we recorded the video with. You can't listen to any of that stuff. It's you know, so
it makes you sound brutally heavy though. It's like this next song.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those guys are metal.
Those guys are so heavy, man. Yeah, dude. Oh, dude. Well, you know, dude, thank you so much for spending the time with me again, man.
Nikki,
It's been
anytime.
an absolute blast.
And
We'll,
this is
we'll
not
we'll do
the
it again
end.
next year.
No, no, no. You'll see. We're gonna do it before then.
Hell yeah, dude. Hell yeah.
By the way, we got to do something with Skane, because Skane loves your riff yard. He loves that what you guys are doing.
Excellent. Yeah, we'll do something, man. We'll, you know, let's do it in a couple of weeks' time when we'll do something after your reunion show. We'll do like a little recap. Get the whole
Yeah,
guys on, man. It'd be brilliant.
I'm telling you, the more we figure out a way, and you become the gateway to getting us to England, man. I mean, partner up with your friends and try to let's use you as the gateway to get through it, and like let's see what happens, man. If there's a will, there's a way. If there is any truth to the resurgence and the popularity of the you know, the post grunge riff era and bands like ours, then the time is here, you know, and we gotta pay attention to that. You know, it's what I call a you know, like a signpost. Uh,
Mm.
it
Yeah, man.
doesn't last forever either. You know,
No.
there's a time limit here, right? So
Yeah.
we have to act on this. Otherwise, if we wait 2 years, all that, you know, that thing that's just like making this inertia happen, pun intended, you know, it goes away.
Absolutely, dude. Oh man. Well, listen. Um, what's the best way people can, if they don't know who you are, what's the best way people can come and find you now? Where are you most active?
Well, I think there you can find us on Spotify. Just type in the Exies, and you can find us on you know, on Apple Music. You can find us on all platforms. Go to my Instagram, which is, I believe, Scott Exies.
Yeah. I think
Or
it's
there's
Exie
the
Scott.
Exie Scott, and then there's like Exie's official Instagram too, which, you know, we just set that up last year. We really don't have very many followers there because we've been inactive for so long. So hopefully people want to join, and that's where all the news will be, in those link trees. You know, all the videos are there, all the reunion show details are there. If you want to be bold and come from England, you know, you won't be disappointed. We're going to put on a good show, and you know, just stay informed. I think Cousin Nostra, like, they're our press agent, so they're always going to be releasing stuff too about us, you know,
Mm.
and then So Records, we've kind of partnered up with there in England, and they'll have updates on things too. So it's
Amazing.
all happening, man.
Amazing. Well, Scott, thanks so much. And I'm sure we'll see you on the Riff Yard very soon, dude. Thanks very much,
Thank you,
guys.
Nikki. Take care, brother.